Section 1 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Elise D. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Dedicated to the fan. From lowly bootblack of the town to merchant prince of high renown, or butcher, baker, candlemaker, lawyer, doctor, undertaker, priest or farmer, young or old, or rich or poor within the fold, so that his spirit bows before the bondage of the full box score. Whatever be his name or fame, so that his heart leans to the game. End of section 1.
Section 2 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Cavaet. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Play ball. Play ball across the field of green. The signal sounds the game again. Once more there reels across the scene a shout and wild acclaim again. The game is on, the fight begun, across the line of battle's span, until the final score is spun with every record of the clan. Play ball, the reveille has rolled, the bugle call to play again. Once more beneath the banner's fold they troop across the way again. The game is on, and in the fray the tumult and the cheering sweep across the battle line of play until the twilight shadows creep. Play ball, the slogan of the game, of life, of war, of love or hate, for rank or wealth, for name or fame, the player stands against the plate. The game is on, and in the strife, where fate the pitcher speeds the ball, the player plays the game of life, until the final shadows fall. End of section 2. Section 3 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Cavaet. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. When the bug is on the ball. Come sing, ye Jimmy Riley, from your ancient lyric stock, when the frost is on the pumpkin and the fodder's in the shock, and we'll let the bounding echoes catch the lyric in your lay, as it darts around the bases to the outfield and away. For there's music in its make-up, and there's rhythm in its run, with a touch of back to nature in its sentiment of fun. But in some way it struck us that the theme is out of date, as a new age comes a-whizzing and a-curving by the plate. So we'll start another chorus as the echoes rise and fall, when the bat is on the bingle and the bug is on the ball. Come sing, ye Jimmy Riley, and we'll listen to your strain, but we'll find our thoughts a-straying from the waving of the grain to the waving of the bludgeons as the batters draw 'em back, and they wave against the trademark with a wallop and a whack. And the swimming hole is faded with its one-time tender pull to the hole the pitcher's got in with the blooming bases full. And while whatever happens, we'll never have a knock, for the frost upon the pumpkin and the fodder in the shock. There's a later theme that draws us when the echoes rise and fall, when the bat is on the bingle and the bug is on the ball. So come ye, Jimmy Riley, with a later song to sing, when the fan is on the frolic and the wallop on the wing, when the swing is on the spitter and the swipe is on the swat, when the bum is on the bobble and he boots one round the lot, when the break is on the bender and the squad is on the stump, or the flag is on the flutter and the brick is on the ump. Belay that ancient chatter of the fodder, frost and shock, when the rooter's on the rampage and the knocker's on the knock, for a later theme has drawn us where the echoes rise and fall, when the bat is on the bingle and the bug is on the ball. End of section 3. Section 4 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Cavaet. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Casey's Revenge. There were saddened hearts in Mudville for a week or even more. There were muttered oaths and curses. Every fan in town was sore. "Just think," said one, "how soft it looked with Casey at the bat. And then to think he'd go and spring a bush league trick like that." All his past fame was forgotten. He was now a hopeless shine. They called him Strikeout Casey, from the mayor down the line. And as he came to bat each day, his bosom heaved a sigh, while a hopeless look of fury shone in mighty Casey's eye. He pondered in the days gone by that he had been their king, that when he strolled up to the plate, they made the welkin ring. But now his nerve had vanished, for when he heard them hoot, he fanned or popped out daily like some minor league recruit. He soon began to sulk and loaf, his batting eye went lame. No home runs on the scorecard now were chalked against his name. The fans, without exception, gave the manager no peace, for one and all kept clamouring for Casey's quick release. The Mudville squad began to slump, the team was in the air. Their playing went from bad to worse, nobody seemed to care. "Back to the woods with Casey," was the cry from Rooters Row. "Get someone who can hit the ball and let that big dub go." The lane is long, someone has said, that never turns again. And fate, though fickle, often gives another chance to men. And Casey smiled, his rugged face no longer wore a frown. The pitcher who had started all the trouble came to town. All Mudville had assembled. 10,000 fans had come to see the twirler who had put big Casey on the bum. And when he stepped into the box, the multitude went wild. He doffed his cap in proud disdain, but only Casey smiled. "Play ball," the umpire's voice rang out, and then the game began. But in that throng of thousands there was not a single fan who thought that Mudville had a chance, and with the setting sun, the hopes sank low. The rival team was leading 4-1. The last half of the ninth came round with no change in the score, but when the first man up hit safe, the crowd began to roar. The din increased, the echo of 10,000 shouts was heard, when the pitcher hit the second and gave 4 balls to the third. 3 men on base, nobody out, 3 runs to tie the game. A triple meant the highest niche in Mudville's Hall of Fame. But here the rally ended, and the gloom was deep as night, when the 4th one fouled to catcher, and the 5th flew out to right. A dismal groan in chorus came, a scowl was on each face, when Casey walked up, bat in hand, and slowly took his place. His bloodshot eyes in fury gleamed, his teeth were clenched in hate. He gave his cap a vicious hook, and pounded on the plate. But fame is fleeting as the wind, and glory fades away. There were no wild and woolly cheers, no glad acclaim this day. They hissed and groaned and hooted as they clamoured, "Strike him out." But Casey gave no outward sign that he had heard this shout. The pitcher smiled and cut one loose, across the plate it sped. Another hiss, another groan, "Strike 1," the umpire said. Zip! Like a shot the second curve broke just below the knee. "Strike 2," the umpire roared aloud, but Casey made no plea. No roasting for the umpire now, his was an easy lot. But here the pitcher whirled again. Was that a rifle shot? A whack, a crack, and out through the space the leather pellet flew, a blot against the distant sky, a speck against the blue. Above the fence in centre field, in rapid whirling flight, the sphere sailed on, the blot grew dim, and then was lost to sight. 10,000 hats were thrown in air, 10,000 threw a fit, but no one ever found the ball that mighty Casey hit. Oh, somewhere in this favoured land dark clouds may hide the sun, and somewhere bands no longer play and children have no fun, and somewhere over blighted lives there hangs a heavy pall. But Mudville hearts are happy now, for Casey hit the ball. End of section 4.
Section 5 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Elise D. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Bug's Viewpoint. Beyond the sleet, across the snows, he did not see the budding rose that waved its crimson welcome to an earth of green, a sky of blue, nor yet the daffy daffodils that crowned the valleys and the hills, the apple blossoms pink and white that drifted into lanes of light. He did not hear the bluebird sing, nor yet south wind whispering and murmur through the maple trees that swayed and slanted to the breeze, and harbored on each bending limb the maker of a woodland hymn. And yet, like every living thing, he too had drawn his dream of spring. He saw a gent arrayed in blue heave boldly into public view, and in a foghorn tenor call to thousands, "Batter up! Play ball!" He saw a tall guy nod and beck, and then cut one round the neck, while in a trance the slugger there inanely paddled at the air. He saw the shortstop leave his place and flag one back of second base and wing it swiftly on ahead to where the dashing runner sped. He saw, before his flashing eye, the keen outfielder fenceward fly, and with a mighty effort pull the drive down with the bases full. He heard once more the rooters call, the ringing clash of bat and ball, the cry of "Belt it on the snout! Don't try to bunt there! Whale it out!" The groans and curses, jeers and cheers, like music tinkled in his ears. The grandstand rocked and roared in strife. The howling bleachers leaped to life, as whooping, jeering, shouting, cheering, praying, cursing, pleading, fearing, stamping, howling, smiling, growling, laughing, weeping, snarling, scowling, over city, field, and glen, the Bugland chorus rang again, for he, like every other thing, had drawn his dream of golden spring. End of section 5. Section 12 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Elise D. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Till the last man is out. Old pal, is the game just a trifle too rough? Is the flag of success floating out of your view? Does the schedule of life seem too rocky and tough? Is the umpire throwing it into you? It may look that way, but fight on just the same. Get back at your rivals with clout for clout. Don't think you are beaten, and so pull up lame, for the game's never lost till the last man is out. Run out every hit, whether hard one or not. Sacrifice right when it's up to you. Don't try to hammer the ball from the lot. Just hit it where they ain't, and a single will do. There's many a lineup that came from behind when the outlook was gloomy and clouded with doubt. You'll be in the running if you bear in mind no game's ever lost till the last man is out. Quite often the hoodoo will camp on your trail, and the luck break against you with never a stop. The harder you struggle, the more you will fail, as you fumble 'em, boot 'em, and let 'em all drop. But it's all in the game, so swing on to your pace, and don't mind the knocking that's floating about. It's the finish that counts, not the start of the race, and the game's never lost till the last man is out. Good fortune may take you along for a day, but fortune is fickle. Don't bank on her strong. Fast work on the bases in each scrappy fray, with teamwork and hitting, will take you along. You can't help your errors, but cut out dumb plays, for those are the miscues that put you to rout. Stand up to the plate, and remember always, the game's never lost till the last man is out. L'Envoy. When you ponder it over, they're both much the same, for life, just like baseball, is shrouded in doubt, and the point in them both is to play out the game and never give up till the last man is out. End of section 12.
Section 19 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Cavaet. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Fan and His Way. There was a fan in our town, and he was wondrous wise. "Oh, hit him out," he'd yell in rage at every sacrifice. And when some player tried to bunt and got choked off at first, this wild-eyed fan arose in wrath, and bitterly he cursed. "Of all the dubs as slow as tubs I ever saw play ball, of all the jokes the fat-head blokes, that one has got the call. What made him spring a trick like that, there ain't nobody knows. Chop out that bunt, you crazy runt, and slap it on the nose. There was a fan in our town, and he was wondrous wise, the self-same gent that yelled in rage at every sacrifice. But when a player lined one out instead of sacrificing, and cracked into a double play, the outburst was surprising. Of all the fatheads, far and near, I ever saw play ball, of all the mutts, the brainless butts, that guy has got the call. When it gets down to bush league work, that lobster takes the cake. Why don't you bunt, you crazy runt? When's that the play to make? There was a fan in our town, and he had wondrous eyes, and when the umpire called a strike, he'd howl in mad surprise. And on some play at second base, full 50 yards away, behind the screen he'd raise in wrath, with sundry things to say. What, that man out? Wake up, old scout! No wonder we lose the game. He had that beat a dozen feet, you second Jesse James. Of course the umpire on the spot could not outline the play, like that wise guy with eagle eye 200 feet away. There was a fan in our town, the team won out that night. He swore by all the ancient gods the bunch was out of sight. Next day they lost, but what he said was private information, or what is technically called unfit for publication. Blank, blank, blank. De blank, de blank, de blank. And other phrases which, alas, I know beyond a doubt, would bring a moral shock if I should fill the spaces out. End of section 19. Section 20 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Cavaet. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Over the plate. Bill Jones had the speed of a cannonball. He could loosen a brick from a 3-foot wall. When he shot one across, it would hurtle by, too swiftly for even the surest eye. No one could hit him when he was right, as no eye could follow the ball's quick flight. Bill should have starred in a big league role, but he stuck to the minors. He lacked control. Jack Smith had a curve like a loop-the-loop. He would start for your head with a sudden swoop and break to your knee with a zigzag wave, and the league's best hitters would roar and wave. At the jump it took and the sudden swerve, shades of the boomerang, what a curve! But Jack still doomed at the bush league fate. He could not get it across the plate. Tom Brown had both the speed and the curves, a combination which jarred the nerves. He would steam them by till they looked like peas, and then take a jump from your neck to your knees. From the worst to the best of the league, by jing, he had them all in the phantom swing. But he missed the mark of the truly great. Poor Tom, he couldn't locate the plate. How is it with you, if I may ask? Have you got control of your daily task? Have you got control of your appetite, of your temper and tongue in a bitter fight? Have you got control of your brawn and brain, or are you labouring all in vain? It matters not what your daily role. Have you got control? Have you got control? It counts not what you may have, my friend, when the story is told at the game's far end. The greatest brawn and the greatest brain the world has known may be yours in vain. The man with control is the one who mounts, and it's how you use what you've got that counts. Have you got the bead? Are you aiming straight? How much of your effort goes over the plate? End of section 20.
Section 21 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Elise D. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Knocking slang. Nix on the slang, chop out the stuff. That ain't no way to pass the dope out. Crawl easy on this line of guff and push it for a gentle slope out. Don't make the English spiel a joke by crabbing up the conversation. Give it a chance correctly spoke without some wise mutt's explanation. If there is one thing puts the punk kibosh upon me, it's the geezer who's always spieling out some junk and running in some funny wheezer. Who jams in with a bunch of talk that listens like it had a cancer, until somebody calls a balk and grabs a chart to pick the answer. Why ain't the old spiel good enough that's lined out in the dictionary, that we must draw this crossfire guff to which no sane gazebe is jerry? I'll take mine in the simple buzz when Noah Webster led the batting. He had these slangsters on the buzz when it came down to big league chatting. Nix on this slang, it's on the blink, and my remarks are here emphatic. The geek who slings it through the ink has beetles in his bush league attic. Let's slip on in the big revive for scholarly and classic diction. Come on, you mutts, now with the dive and do a Brody at this fiction. End of section 21.
Section 23 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Raven, up to date. Last night, while I pondered, dreary, grouchy, sore, and limp and leery, o'er the dope in my apartments, far upon the 13th floor, as I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. 'Tis some bill collector, thought I, rapping at my chamber door. Only that, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, I was thinking of September, and the finish of the league race, what the future had in store. And I started prophesying where the pennant would be flying, till at last I gave up trying, feeling very sad and sore. For the dope was so uncertain that I gave up sad and sore, grumbling slowly, nevermore. As I sat there nearly bughouse, longing for a nearby jughouse, once again I heard the tapping at my chamber door. So I oped it, shrinking craven, wishing for some happy haven, when, behold, there flapped a raven, stalking in across the floor, stalking Edgar Allan Poeish right across my rugless floor. Ach du Lieber, I was sore. Raven, cried I, why the devil have you come here? On the level, I thought Mr. Poe had written you would enter nevermore. What has brought you, you intriguer, with that look so keen and eager? Speak up there, you old bush leaguer. Why have you returned, you bore? State your trouble and then skip, sir. Leave me quickly, I implore. Quoth the Raven, what's the score? End of section 23.
Section 24 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. A Day in the Bleachers. Being a true chronicle of the comments offered by Mike the Bite as the game was in progress, wedged into verse. What's that, a ball? Oh, say, you make me weary. Why don't you call them strikes, you Jesse James? No wonder that the ball club's looking leery, with blind men on the job empiring games. I'm glad I left my watch at home, you pirate, when I see the style what goes with you today. Why, that Alibaba geezer was a fathead bush league teaser when it gets down to the scientific way. Wake up, you fathead, take a wallop at it. Swing at them balls what slopes across the plate. Don't stand there like a blear-eyed mummy, bat it. This ain't no place to dream, you drunken skate. 3 strikes and out, and still you're on the payroll. I only wish I owned this baseball club, and the first thing that I'd do would be hitch a can to you, about the size of Lookout Mountain, Mr. Dub. Say, that guy playing second is a dandy. Did your piping block that bingle on the bound? He got Ted Roosevelt double-crossed for candy when it comes to swinging hard and covering ground. But the mutt what went and booted that last roller, he ducked tonight if I but had my wish. In my time I think I seen a bunch of dubs some punkerino, but that fella couldn't catch contagious fish. End of section 24, read by Alan Mapstone.
Section 25 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. A warning. Makers of bonnets the women wear, moulders of fashion whoe'er ye be, drear is the curse of my daily prayer, deep is the hatred I have for thee. This is the warning I fling afar, moulder more on a smaller plan, chop off a couple of yards of spar, or beware the wrath of an angry fan. Yesteryear to the game I went, daily the pilgrimage I made. Oh, what a waste of coin I spent, wondering there how the game was played. Was it a hit or an error raw? Was it a stolen base or score? I peered in vain, but I only saw a hat that was 9 feet wide or more. Back to the park this spring I passed, knowing the old style's out of date. Now, I thought, I shall get at last a look once more at the old home plate. Was it a hit or a fielding flaw? Why the deuce did the bleachers roar? In vain I looked, but I only saw a hat that was 9 feet high or more. Makers of bonnets the women wear, moulders of fashion whoe'er ye be, drear is the curse of my daily prayer, deep is the hatred I have for thee. This is the warning I hurl today. Cut on a narrower, shorter plan. Chop off a couple of yards each way, or beware the wrath of a maddened fan. End of section 25.
Section 26 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Larry Giesecke. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Out on the Lines. It isn't so much did you make a hit, but how did you swing at the ball? Did you go up to the bat with your nerve all gone and never half try at all? Did your heart beat strong? Were your eyes gleaming bright? Did you swing as it cut the plate? Or did you stand in a listless way and hit at the ball too late? It isn't so much did you score a run, but how did you act on base? Did you run it out at the crack of the bat with a rattling, dashing pace? Did you look for a chance to steal a bag? Did you score by your own keen wit? Or did you get all the way around on the other fellow's hit? It isn't so much did you win the game, but how did you play, old scout? Did you give 'em a fight to the bitter end and scrap till the last was out? Did you let 'em know they were in a game? Did you always come back strong? Or did you loaf when the game seemed lost and quit when the break went wrong? End of section 26, read by Larry Giesecke, February 19th, 2023.
Section 27 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. On Memory's Wall. Of all the horrible pictures that hang on memory's wall, is one of a certain ball game that seemeth the worst of all. Not for the money wasted, counting the coin it cost, nor that the umpire robbed us, not that the home team lost, not that the shortstop fumbled 4 balls while I madly cursed, nor the catcher caught like a lobster, it seemeth to me the worst. I once had a little sweetheart, with eyes that were deep and dark, and to that game I took her into the baseball park. Light as the down of thistles the fielders chased the ball, loud as the roar of tempests followed the rooter's call, and I heard my heart beat loudly as our starman came to bat. when my little sweetheart murmured, "Say, look at that woman's hat." Loudly the bass hit rattled, bringing the tying score. Wildly the crowd upstarted, yelping a mighty roar. Softly there came a whisper, ending my joyous fit. "Why is that poor man running? What is a three-bass hit?" Therefore of all the pictures that hang on memory's wall, that one of a certain ball game, it seemeth the worst of all. End of section 27. Section 28 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Game. Let's play it out, this little game called life, where we are listed for so brief a spell, not just to win, amid the tumult rife, or where acclaim and gay applauses swell, not just to conquer where someone must lose, or reach the goal, whatever be the cost, for there are other, better ways to choose, though in the end the battle may be lost. Let's play it out, as if it were a sport, wherein the game is better than the goal, and never mind the detailed scores report, of errors made, if each with dauntless soul, but stick it out until the day is done, not wasting fairness for success or fame, so when the battle has been lost or won, the world at least can say, he played the game. Let's play it out, this little game called work, or war or love, or what part each may draw. Play like a man who scorns to quit or shirk, because the break may carry some deep flaw, nor simply holding that the goal is all that keeps the player in the contest staying, but stick it out from curtain rise to fall, as if the game itself were worth the playing. End of section 28. Section 29 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Mudville's Fate. Being number 3 of the Casey series, depicting the sad finish of Mudville after the celebrated son of Swat put the township on the brink by whiffing in the championship game, thus wiping out all interest in a hitherto thriving baseball center. The pathetic fate of Mudville afterwards is only equaled by that of the deserted village, so aptly doped out by the late O. Goldsmith, real poet. I wandered back to Mudville, Tom, where you and I were boys, and where we drew in days gone by our fill of childish joys. Alas, the town's deserted now, and only rank weeds grow, where mighty Casey fanned the air just 20 years ago. Remember Billy Woodson's place, where in the evening shade the bunch would gather and discuss the home runs Casey made. Dog fennel now grows thick around that joint we used to know, before old Casey whiffed the breeze some 20 years ago. The grandstand too has been torn down, no bleachers met my gaze, where you and I were wont to sit in happy bygone days. The peanuts which we fumbled there have sprouted in a row, where mighty Casey swung in vain just 20 years ago. Oh, how we used to cheer him, Tom, each time he came to bat, and how we held our breath in awe when on the plate he spat, and when he landed on the ball, how loud we yelped, but oh, how loud we cursed when he struck out some 20 years ago. The diamond is a corn patch now, the outfield overgrown. With pumpkin vines and weedy plots, the rooters all have flown. They couldn't bear to live on there, for nothing was the same, where they had been so happy once before that fateful game. The village band disbanded soon, the mayor tune resigned. The council even jumped its graft and in seclusion pined. The marshal caught the next train out, and those we used to know began to leave in flocks and droves some 20 years ago. For after Casey fanned that day, the citizens all left, and one by one they sought new lands, heartbroken and bereft. The joyous shouts no more rang out of children at their play, The village blacksmith closed his shop. The druggist moved away. Alas for Mudville's banished pomp when mighty Casey reigned. Her grandeur has departed now, her glory's long since waned. Her place upon the map is lost, and no one seems to care a whit about the old town now, since Casey biffed the air. End of section 29. Section 31 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Champs of the Alley League. Just at this time every season, when the sun beats down on the street, when the breath of another springtime comes up with its fragrance sweet, when the Winter League race is over and the clans of a new campaign are camped in the fields of Dixie, cheered on by the fan refrain, as they talk of a coming pennant or speak of an all-star team, my fancy flies on the south wind on the crest of an old, old dream, back where the eye gleamed brightly, where the soul knew no fatigue, when I was one of the ragged stars, the champs of the Alley League. I hear that the fever is rising, that the great fan flock once more is ready to sit in the bleachers and cheer for the winning score. They speak of a coming wonder, they talk of a flag to fly, they whisper the thrilling story of Mike and his batting eye. But out from the mad fanatics my fancy wanders free, from the hopes of a glad tomorrow to the land of the used to be. Far from the spitball gossip, far from McGraw's intrigue, when I first played on the ragged stars, the champs of the Alley League. And what is the mighty Wagner to Mickey the human slat, who batted around 800 with a broomstick for a bat? Where is the big league gameness of stars they have set on thrones, to Johnny the Jew who tied the score with a slide over cobblestones? Mathewson's curbs are a mystery, Walsh is a wonder too, but Pat Maguire set the strikeout mark with a pellet of yarn and glue. Boast of your Chance and Jennings, winners of keen intrigue, but they never stacked up with the ragged stars, the champs of the Alley League. Just at this time every season, when the March sun warms the town, when the little green leaves peep shyly from the stark bare limbs of brown, when the voice of the rooter rises in the roll of a rippling cheer, the winds of another springtime blow back from another year, the cry of the barefoot legions, the shouts of the tattered host, as twinkling feet raced madly in a dash for the telephone post, to a wagon wheel for second base with never a touch of fatigue, when I was one of the ragged stars, the champs of the Alley League. End of section 31. Section 32 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The man who played with Anson on the old Chicago team. There showed up out in Mudville in the spring of '83 a fella evidently just recovering from a spree. He said his name was Casey, and he was a sight to view as he walked into the ballpark and inquired for work to do. There wasn't any opening, for you should understand that was the time when Mudville had a bunch of stars on hand. But the stranger lingered, telling Mickey Nolan and the rest what an all-filed batting average he possessed when at his best. Till finally he stated, quite by chance as it would seem, that he had played with Anson on the old Chicago team. Well, that was quite another thing. We owned that any cuss who'd played with old Pop Anson must be good enough for us. So we took Casey at his word and signed him while we could, well knowing if we didn't that some other ball club would. For Kanaki was looking round for people that could play, and Pikeville wouldn't overlook this fellow any day. We gave him quite a contract, though it made the others swear, saying we had done 'em dirty and it wasn't on the square. But we lay back and cackled, for the pennant warn't no dream, with the man who played with Anson on the old Chicago team. It made our eyeballs nigh pop out and pop back in again to hear that Casey telling of old Anson and his men, why home runs was so common that nobody waved a hat, with Williamson, King Kelly, or Pfeiffer at the bat. A man who didn't hit above 500 couldn't stick with that old bunch, for Anson would release them mighty quick. They handled ground balls with their teeth and often shut their eyes, while in the act of pulling down the longest, hardest flies. And after all the fanning bees each night we used to dream of the fellow who played with Anson on the old Chicago team. But somehow this fellow Casey never felt like going in. He spent his time at Wilson's shaking poker dice for gin. Wherever he was needed he was always sure to shirk, remarking he would have to wait before he started work. If any other gent had loafed the way he used to do, we'd have fined him $50 every day and benched him too. But you see, the fans respected him and backed him to the last, on account of his connections with the diamond in the past. For no one felt like knocking or handling out a call to the man who'd played on Anson's team, the greatest of them all. Well, finally the climax came, the big test of the year, and the fans was there in bunches from the country far and near, especially attracted by the statement made that day that, having rounded into shake, Big Casey was to play. The other 9 was looking kinder worried and upset, but they wouldn't even listen to an even money bet. We kidded them and joshed them, but no wagering was done, till at last they placed 1,000 at the odds of 10 to 1. But even at this odds it looked an easy money scheme, with the man who played with Anson on the old Chicago team. But Casey never drew a chance to shine in any way. They handed him a base on balls without the least delay. The pitcher didn't seem to care to put one over straight, while the man who played with Anson was standing at the plate. He only had one fly in left, which bounded off his head. It seemed the sun was shining in his countenance, he said, and so the people waited in much anger and suspense for Casey's opportunity to drive one through the fence. And it came, oh yes, it landed with a nauseating rap for the man who played with Anson and referred to him as Cap. Old Mudville was a run behind when the last inning came. The bases full and 2 was out. A hit would win the game. He's got to put it over now, each rooter waved his hat and shouted in delirium as Casey stepped to bat. The first 2 inshoots jumped across the center of the plate, as Mr. Anson's college chum found out a bit too late. The next looked good, and Casey swung. There came a mighty crack, but the noise originated from the spine in Casey's back. In reaching for that outshoot he had drenched his spinal beam of the man who played with Anson on the old Chicago team. That night we wired Anson to discover if he knew a man by the name of Casey, as we felt we ought to do. And when the answer came next day, it stirred up quite a fuss. Yes, I remember Casey well. He carried bats for us. We hunted for him quite a spell, but he had gone away. Else the daisies would be blooming over his remains today. But if you land in Mudville on the lookout for some fun, don't ever mention Casey's name, unless you wear a gun. End of section 32. Section 33 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Cavaet. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The record. When the game is done and the players creep, one by one to the league of sleep, deep in the night they may not know the way of the fight, the fate of the foe. And the cheer that passed from applauding bands is stilled at last, but the record stands. The base hits made and the errors wrought, how the game was played, how the fight was fought. Though the game be done where the night is deep, and one by one from the field they creep, the day has passed through the twilight gates, but the scroll is cast and the record waits. End of section 33.
Section 34 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice, The Major Leaguer's Daughter, or The Turning of the Tide. They were seated in the parlor where the gas was burning low, and he held her little paw within his own. He looked at her and whispered, "Mame, you know I love you so. You've made more hits with me than Fielder Stone. Your curves look awful good to me, your speed is just my style." But here he stopped and sadly bowed his head. The decision was against him, he was out about a mile, when unto him these cruel words she said. "I am the only daughter of a major league phenom, while you are but an unknown bush league bloke. My old man hits 300 almost every season, Tom, while they tell me your average is a joke. Some day when you are drafted or you have a batting eye, I may listen to the words you have to say. But until you show the goods, take a hike back to the woods, for there's nothing doing here for you today, day. The years went by and Tom improved, his work began to shine. His batting and his fielding were immense. His average jumped from 083 around 449, while every day he splintered up some fence. But in the meantime, Mame's old man began to lose his eye. They canned him when his salary whip went dead. So Tom he passed her up for good, and now she wonders why them cruel words unto him once she said. I am the only daughter of a major league phenom, while you are but an unknown bush league bloke. My old man hits 300 almost every season, Tom, while they tell me your average is a joke. Some day when you are drafted or you have a batting eye, I may listen to the words you have to say. But until you show the goods, take a hike back to the woods, for there's nothing doing here for you today, day. End of section 34. Read by Marcus Shera, Fairfax, Virginia, February 24th, 2023.
Section 35 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Pen snapshot of the British fan. For 8 fleeting innings, the Warwickshire Browns had battled like fiends with the Berkshire Brigade. The grandstand was crowded by fans from the towns, all around who had come out to see the game played. The hitting and fielding was simply immense. No snappier game anywhere could be found. They doubled and tripled and dented the fence, while one-handed pickups were pulled off each round. With the home team at bat, some performer of brawn scored 3 with a triple, a terrible smash. His lordship remarked as he stifled a yawn, "Bloody clever old chap," and then twirled his moustache. The swap put the Warwickshire bunch in the lead, but when the 9th came, every Berkshire lad fought hard, and 5 of them scored in the hour of need by clouting the leather all over the yard. In the last of the 10th, 4 runs to the bad, the first home man up made a hurricane swipe. He tripled to centre. That wasn't half bad. "Don't you know," said a rooter while puffing his pipe. Then followed a double that whistled to right. 2 yeomen applauding were chased from the park. The score was soon tied up with victory in sight. "By Jove," murmured one, "what a deuce of a lark!" End of section 35. Section 36 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. On the coaching line. Get in the game, smoke up, old scout. We've got to win this scrap today. Take any chance for 2 are out. Get on your toes and watch the play. 3 balls, wow, I guess he walks. Come back, you ain't so lame. Say there, you thickhead, watch them balks. Get in the game. Get in the game there, at the bat. Pick out one that suits your eye. I guess those benders don't look fat. Don't let a strike like that go by. Just watch 'em over, make 'em ride. A hit, it's all the same. You'll beat it, slide, you lobster, slide. Get in the game. Get in the game no matter which, nor where, nor when, nor who you are. The slogan rings at lofty pitch from inland town to harbour bar. From lowly serf to ruling kings, if you would carve a laureled name, the distaff of the epoch sings. Get in the game. Get in the game, you merchants, and you lawyers, doctors, preachers too, you workmen who compose the band, with countless duties yet to do, you leaders who must head the line. One dumb play may bring lifelong shame. Watch every signal, every sign. Get in the game, get in the game! Get in the game, this age is live, and loafers have no part to play. If you would win, if you would thrive, keep on your toes in every fray, and if you rise or if you fall, it matters not, the road to fame, but echoes with the worldwide call. Get in the game, get in the game! End of section 36. Section 37 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Goods. Here's to the guy that delivers the goods, gent from the city or geek from the woods, hillside or valley, mountain or plain, sunshine or shadow, or starlight or rain. Any old time or condition of place, take it easy or rough house to face, but putting it over and calling the bluff. Here's looking, the guy who delivers the stuff. Here's to the guy that delivers and say, chop out that dope on the luck of the day. Fate took a wallop and slipped you the quid. Well, what the hell do we care if it did? That ain't the tip we're looking for here. Bend down a minute and lend us an ear. Geek from the brushes or guy from the town, did you deliver or did you fall down? End of section 37. Section 38 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Winter League Wonder. Though I've never won a pennant in a race that starts each spring, and finish every autumn finds me muchly to the punk. Though through June, July, and August you can hear the anvils ring, as the critics in a body dub my team a bunch of junk, you've got to hand it to me on a silver platter when the summer scrambles over, though some other mogul wins. I'm the one and only wonder of the coming season then, when the last real game is over and the Winter League begins. Though each October finds me under every rival's heel, 20 games behind the others, do I stop and shed a tear? Not upon your uncle's portrait. I begin right off the reel, lining up my winter legions for a sure first next year. I admit the luck broke badly, and the umpires crimped my chance. I confess to injured players and a few less minor sins. Then I jump out in the open and I do a pennant dance when the last real game is over and the Winter League begins. The pitchers I have gathered when the snow begins to fall are the wonders of the nation. Everyone's a hurling king. And my outfield, holy whiskers, how that bunch can hit the ball when they walk up with the willow from October unto spring. Every player on my payroll is a star of purest ray till they reach the field of battle, where they're slower on their pins than a stream of cold molasses, and my phenoms fade away. But you've got to hand it to me when the Winter League begins. End of section 38. Section 39 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. A tip to the fan flock. Did you ever have the feeling you were all in, down and out, as of mud upon your skylight, or your brain pan had the gout, when you sauntered to your office in a semi-hearted way, and earned about 1/7 of your wage or daily pay? When your energy had left you, and your dizzy dome would throb, as you spent the day in yawning, or for flushing on your job? Well, if you have, you are human, so while out among the crowd, in the grandstand or the bleachers, shouting curses long and loud, at some boot or costly bobble, let the old dope trickle through, that perhaps the second baseman has the same old feeling too. While sparring with the cash book or the ledger in your den, don't you feel a brainstorm blowing in your noodle now and then? When the numbers dance around you while you're ripping, raving mad, that the pesky, peevish figures of the columns fail to add. When your orbs feel dry and blinky, and the harder that you look, all the more the figures jumble on the pages of your book. It's a cinch you've had the feeling, so before you seek the gore, or some indicator wielder from decisions block to score, stop and figure for a second, let the old dope trickle through, that the umpire is entitled to his little off day too. End of section 39. Section 40 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. As the game breaks. Mulligan catches the ball on the snout. It's just where he likes it. He smashes it out. Biff, on the trademark, it whirls like a shot. They're yelling and cheering all over the lot. A shout and a groan from the well-crowded stands. The drive travels straight to the outfielder's hands. 2 feet to the left or 2 feet to the right, and Mulligan's swat would have captured the fight. Just a matter of inches from out of the line, changed him from star to a mutt and a shine. Just 2 stingy feet. Aye, there is the rub. He didn't hit safe, so they call him a dub. Pat Flaherty gets one that isn't his kind, but he closes his orbs and swings at it blind. 'Twas a weak sister swat, and not one half as stout as the one which poor Mulligan slammed on the snout. Yet the bleachers arose with a yelp and a screech, as it twisted just out of an infielder's reach. It broke up the game, and yet only 2 feet closer in, and the tap would have been easy meat. Just a matter of inches, a bit further down, changed him from a dub to a star of renown. Just 2 pesky feet, but it ended the game, so they plastered a new-made cigar with his name. You'll find it the same upon life's massive chart. The star and the dub are but inches apart. One smashes out hard, but his drive never lands, as it travels direct to another one's hands. The next fellow's effort is puny and tame, yet it hits the right spot and so gathers him fame. It's the law of the age from the centuries brought. The bunt may roll safe while the hard smash is caught. You may strive twice as hard for the rich prize at stake, but the fellow that wins is the one with the break. End of section 40. Section 41 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Grand Old Winter League. Here's to the league where they all hit 300. Here's to the league where they all bag the flag. Here's to the wonderful, mighty, and thunderful swat of the artist who's springing the gag. Springing the gag while the old stove is roaring, spieling of games that he won in a pinch. Fence-breaking hammerer, clean-em-up slammerer, where every pitcher he faced was a cinch. Here's the league where they've all cinched the pennant, cinched with a lineup that's keen on the job. Where in the bing time of oncoming springtime, every guy signed is a second Ty Cobb. Hail to the Wagners and dashing young Matthewsons, there with the speed and the curves and control, swift-footed, heady, keen-eyed and steady, already sewing the flag to the pole. Here's to the league where the hapless tail-ender rises each year to the crest of the game, where there is never an artist unclever, never a star that is injured or lame, where for a spell all the umpires are honest, where every mogul has shown keen intrigue, hip for the dope from the circuit of hope, hail to the glorious Typewriter League. End of section 41. Section 42 of Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Slide of Paul Revere. Listen, fanatics, and you shall hear of the midnight slide of Paul Revere, how he scored from first on an outfield drive by a dashing sprint and a headlong dive. 'Twas the greatest play pulled off that year. Now the home of poets and potted bean, Emersonian ways and means, in baseball epic has oft been sung since the days of Krieger and old Cy Young. but not even fleet, deer-footed bay could have pulled off any such fancy play as the slide of P. Revere which won the famous Battle of Lexington. The Yanks and the British were booked that trip in a scrap for the new World Championship, but the British landed a bit too late, so the game didn't open till 8:30, and Paul Revere was dreaming away when the Empire issued his call for play. On they fought 'neath the Boston moon, as the British figured not yet but soon, for the odds were against the Yanks that night, with Paul Revere blocked away from the fight, and the grandstand gathering groaned in woe, while the sad wail bubbled from Reuter's Row. But wake, hust, hearken, and likewise hark! What means that galloping near the park? What means that cry of a dead man sore? Am I too late? Say, what's the score? And echo answered both far and near, as the routers shouted, "There's Paul Revere!" Oh, how sweetly that moon did shine, when P. Revere took the coaching line. He woke up the grandstand from its trance, and made the bleachers get up and dance. He joshed the British with robust shout, until they booted the ball about. He whooped and he clamoured all over the lot, till the score was tied in a Gordian knot. Now, in this part of the dope recooked are the facts which history overlooked. How Paul Revere came to bat that night, and suddenly ended the long-drawn fight. How he singled to centre, then straight away dashed on to second like Harry Bay. Kept on travelling with the speed of a bird, till he whizzed like a meteor, rounding third. "Hold back, you lobster!" but all in vain. The coachers shouted in tones of pain, for Paul kept on with a swinging stride, and he hit the ground when they hollered, "Slide!" Spectacular plays may come and go, in the hurry of time's swift ebb and flow, but never again will there be one like the first American hit and run, and as long as the old game lasts you'll hear of the midnight slide of P. Revere. End of section 42. Section 43 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Annual Return. One by one they're drifting back, Hank McGee to Hackensack, Pat Maguire the world-famed spitter, Mike the Bite 300 hitter, Jim and Ed and Bill and Jack. One by one they're drifting back, with their curves, their keen intrigue, to the swift grass-cutters' league. One by one they leave and go, back again to Kokomo, Kankakee and rural Dell, where they cast a mystic spell on the scouts who touted them, each a human diadem. In a serried line return, with their curves and speed to burn. One by one they fade away, to the fragrant uncut hay, second Wagners, second Cobbs, back upon their old-time jobs, in the fried ham circuit where they were stars with some to spare, where they played with famed Delat, in the field and at the bat. One by one they file back home, to the sweet scent of the loam, yet but one brief month ago they were making Walsh look slow, each the phenom of the age, flashed upon the sporting age, as the greatest of them all when it came to playing ball. Pounding on the beaten track, Hank McGee to Hackensack, Pat Maguire to Kankakee, Mike to sunny Tennessee, in a serried line return, with their curves and speed to burn, batting eyes and keen intrigue, to the swift grass-cutters' league. End of section 43. Section 44 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. In the good old winter time. An old fan sat one day at a table small and round, drinking every kind of liquid which in that place could be found. He had 47 chances, and he never fumbled one, catching 16 sparkling highballs ere he scored his first home run. And while sitting at that table he began to read the dope, which depicted every manager in front up pennant slope. but soon in dreamy fancy from the page he turned away, and to the nearby barkeep these idle words did say. In the good old winter time, in the good old winter time, how swiftly from the bottom all the tail-end people climb. They call each new recruit a peach, although he's a lime. Oh, how they nature fake us in that good old winter time. The months rolled by and spring had come, and there on Router's Row the same fan sat with eyes ablaze and ruddy cheeks aglow. He saw the second Wagner strike out 4 times in one game, while 7 ghastly errors were chalked up against his name. He saw the sterling pitcher who had starred at Rural Falls yield 19 massive bingles and a dozen base-on balls. And then above the battle and the rattle of the fray, he softly hummed the chorus of that far-gone winter day. In the good old winter time, in the good old winter time, how swiftly from the bottom all the tail-end people climb. By summer almost every peach turns out to be a lime. Oh, how they nature fake us in the good old winter time. End of section 44. Section 45 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. After the game. Now that the hard-fought day is ended, with laurels for the favoured few, the cheering and the jeering blended, in praise or blame that may be due, now that the score has been completed, beyond the shallow depths of fame, among both victors and defeated, we'll turn to those who played the game. Not in the losing or the winning, success nor failure for the day, but from the battle's first beginning, we'll take up their work play by play. How well they tried, how they stood ready, beyond the world's crowd's narrow sight. We'll lift our glasses bravely steady, and drink to those who fought the fight. The game is done, the fight completed. What matters now who reached the goal? Alike the victor and defeated wait for the final scorer's scroll. And those who look may read the story of star by star against each name, set over those with world-won glory, the list of those who played the game. End of section 45. Section 46 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. On Router's Row. 1. We got a swell chance now to cop with that guy at the bat. Why, say that hobo couldn't hit the ball yard with his hat. If he was in a steamboat and it blew up in a wreck, he couldn't hit the water if it tumbled off his deck. I paid me month's rent 4 times since he stung one on the snout, and what I'm saying to you is that slumping some old scout. 2 runs to tie, the bases choked, we got him to the mat, and then a piece of cheese like him comes wobbling to the bat. Bing, oh, the nose, oh wow, beyond the fielder's mitt. Say, where's the blooming guy what said that lobster couldn't hit? I guess he didn't get to that last bender with the wood, and wasn't I just telling you how I knowed the hobo would? 3 runs across the blooming plate, and now the scrap's a cinch. There never was a guy like him to clamp one in a pinch. For on the nose across the lot, beyond the outfield's reach, and wasn't I just telling you that lobster was a peach? 2. Say, maybe this ain't pie today with Mickey on the hill. They couldn't beat that sucker if he handed 'em the pill. He ain't lost one in 14 weeks, and any time they get a base hit when he's working, right, just sue me for the debt. You've got to hand it to him, Bo, and that's no foolish tip. He makes those blooming batters look like chickens with the pip. I'll take me bonnet off to him, he keeps us in the race. For minus him, I bet me coat we'd be in 7th place. 2 doubles and a base on balls here in the opening round. I wonder why the manager leaves that mutt on the mound. Another hit, another pass. See here, you crazy lout. Why don't you warm a pitcher up and take that bonehead out? Who said that guy could pitch a ball? There goes another pass. That mucker ain't got smoke enough to crack a pane of glass. The minute he walked in the box, I knowed we'd hit the ditch. And wasn't I just telling you that hobo couldn't pitch? End of section 46. Section 47 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Cavaet. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Love Sonnets of a Son of Swat. 1. Take it from me, this single league shine. My heart got batted from the box today. For when we met, the dope says right away, she bats 300 on the Peaches 9. I'd draft her now if I thought she would sign, and help me divvy up a season's pay. I pitched this at her, but my grandstand play went wild, says she, no bush league dub for mine. Say, she's the big league kid or I'm a skate, for every time I come up, zip, like that, she shoots those lamps of hers across the plate, and I strike out like Casey on a bat. For when she curves one over from those eyes, 3 strikes and out is just about my size. 2. Speaking of curves, say on the level bow, she'd make Waddell look like a dinky-dink, and Eddie Rulback straight without a kink. For she's all curves from neck 4 feet below, out curves and in shoots all there in a row. Compared to hers, Ed Planks are on the blink. If Huey Jennings sees her, I don't think Wild Bill next year will get a chance to show. I've played some games that I've tried hard to win, but this is my World Series championship, and if I lose, back to the minor bin. For your young uncle, that's my one best tip. Tonight I'll call and risk an awful freeze by showing her just how to work the squeeze. 3. Say, I'm the lemon leaguer on a slump. In love's ball game, the bench is where I sit. I couldn't foul one over, much less make a hit, or tie the game up with a timely thump. I had a chance to make good on the jump, but when I tried to grab her little mitt, I dropped it first and then I fumbled it, playing the game like some bone-headed chump. But when at last I got my eye and tried to work the squeeze, she coached me to my place. Get back, she warbled, slide, you lobster, slide. Don't take too long a lead off your base. Just play it safe, you mutt, first time at bat. Is not the place to spring a play like that. 4. This game of love is not my longest suit. Doping it out has put wheels in my bun. Just as you think you've got the pennant won, bum luck will land you on the soapy chute. You come back hard, but every time you boot. Each chance you get until the game is done, and when at last you need the tying run, there ain't no bleacher bugs to rise and root. I doped it out the first time that we faced, to warm up good until I got control, and then to curve a fast one round her waist, hoping this way to put her in a hole. Such was my dope, but, as I said before, the dope is not what makes the full box score. 5. Ah, love, indeed thou art a heartless game. The gong rings out, the umpire shouts, play ball. You gaily rush out until you hear her call. Back up, your salary whip is lame. What batting average stands against your name? In Dunn's or Bradstreet's little guide to all, you can't tag love inside a cottage wall. Minus the gate receipts, not with this dame. Nix, not for mine, says she. Fine, chance to win. We'd have with landlord on the rival team, with grocer, butcher filling up our tin, and smashing liners into love's young dream. Yours for a steady job with no fatigue, before I signed with any fireside league. 6. Much like the mutt with a home plate well in sight, who sprints on in with long stake-winning stride, bringing the tying run with bulging pride, as hope once more soars upward like a kite, who thinks he's got it beat all right, while thousands clamour, hit the dirt, there, slide, when over all the tumult, far and wide, the umpire shrieks, you're out, in mad delight. So I got mine in true O'Loughlin style. Just when I thought the game would be a tie, her old man yelled, you're out about a mile, and waved me back with murder in his eyes. I'm acting umpire in this park, says he, so don't you pass no funny talk with me. 7. So moves life's game wherever we may go. At every base some umpire stands and waits, a delegate shipped earthward by the fates, who has it in for players here below. We drive one safe inside 3 feet or so. The robber umpire struts around and states that it went foul. We know his eyes ain't mates, but foul it stands, and so the scorebooks go. But I ain't through. Perhaps in 1908, if I can act like Tyrus Cobb at bat, I'll get a chance to sign a running mate and pitch my park within a 2-room flat. 5,000 per mite, clear her old man's vision and make him change that other bum decision. End of section 47. Section 48 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. At the end of the game. When I have heard the final umpire's call ring out across the diamond of my strife, that ends the little game which we call life, I shall not care about the score at all, how well I fielded, how I hit the ball, nor all the shouting and tumult rife, nor shouts of scorn that once cut like a knife. These shall not matter in the endless pall. These shall not matter on that final day, when life's game passes with the setting sun, if I but hear the mighty umpire say, the records show no pennant you have won, no brilliant average that brings you fame, yet you go up, because you played the game. End of section 48. Section 49 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Mogul's Dream. One night a mogul died, and straight his soul set forth upon its journey to the goal. Of all good people, but the gate was locked, so while he shivered in the cold, he knocked. Not once, but twice he rapped with all his might upon the pearly entrance, barred and tight. "Who comes?" St. Peter cried with all that din. "It's me," the magnate cried, "please let me in." "And who are you," he heard the good saint say, "that you should hear the golden harps, I pray? What have you done upon that earth so drear, that you should mingle with the angels here?" "I was the manager," he straight replied, "the mogul of a ball team ere I died." "And what means that?" replied the saint, "pray tell." "It means that all you ever get is, well, I won't repeat the word I had in mind, and yet no other fits that I can find. Through fall and winter every year I plan to gather in a pennant-winning clan. I labour hard from early morn till night, in search of talent anywhere in sight. Right off the reel my pitches one by one blow up, and then my catches are undone. And for my trouble what get I in thanks? The fiendish yelp of 20,000 cranks. My life was one of fiendish, piercing woe, the roughest on that unkempt plain below. Aye, to the full I've drunk life's bitter dregs, hissed, jeered at, pelted with decrepit eggs, and to what end I have come in the spring, only to hear the anvil chorus ring. L'Envoy. "Come, enter quick," St. Peter then replied. "Heaven's joys to such as you are not denied. Choose any harp among these scenes of mirth. O hapless soul, you had your hell on earth." End of section 49. Section 50 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Hard Luck Adam. Adam had no Easter hat to buy for Mrs. Eve. Adam had no cost of living troubles to aggrieve. Adam had no job to hold by slaving day or night, adding columns, beating carpets, planning stuff to write. Adam had a hectic cinch played across the boards, everything that nature and an idle life affords. And yet I wouldn't change with him, whatever be my loss. He never saw the triple drive the winning run across. Adam had no dress to buy to calm his spouse's grief. All that Adam had to do was go and pull a leaf. Back in Father Adam's day, long and long ago, there was not an Aldridge nor a crusty Uncle Joe. Raving politicians never roamed about the land, double-crossing voters in a way to beat the band. But with it all, poor Adam never had a chance to dream of bold 300 hitters and a pennant-winning team. Adam lived on Easy Street, dreaming in the sun. Never had a policeman there to cut in on his fun. Never had a cook around threatening to leave. Bridge was not invented in the early days of Eve. Take it up and down the line in those golden days. Adam had it on us in 100 different ways. And yet with all his blessings, what a dull and massive pall, for poor old Father Adam never saw a game of ball. End of section 50.
Section 51 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Bria Holmes. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Denton Cy Young. The grand old man of Baldwin faces his 20th season as a major league slabman, with every indication that it will be among his best campaigns. Fame may be fleeting and glory may fade. Life at its best is a breath on the gale. One hero passes, another is made. New stars arise as the old one sets pale. So when a stalwart steps out from the throng, on with the tribute, let garlands be flung. Here's to the sturdy, and here's to the strong. Here's to the king of them all, Denton Young. Anson has passed like a star in the night. Richardson's name from the lineup is cast. Rusey and Latham are out of the fight. Mighty Buck Ewing is buried and past. Clarkson the Wizard and Kelly and Gore linger no more on the fan's fickle tongue. Only one name flashes out as of yore. There on the red line of battle is Young. Tiernan and Tucker, we wait for reply. Jack Ward and Pfeffer are out of the game. No cheer rises when brother steps by. Even Van Haltren is only a name. Meekin and Hoffer and kind bid McPhee, their day is over, their songs are all sung. Lo, like the roar of the storm-harried sea, swells the wild chorus for Denton Cy Young. Herman's Longs, only a memory now. Big Dell is under the myrtle today. No more the laurel is bound to his brow. Bob Lowe and Zimmer have passed from the fray. Where are the heroes saluted of old? Heroes to whom, through the years we have clung, have all deserted the clan of the bold, not while the echoes are ringing for Young. Breitenstein, Phillips, and Wayhing and Knopps, Hahn, Rhines, and Corbett and Dr. McJames. Where are their shoots and their puzzling drops? Who cheers today when you mention their names? Lost in the shadows, their story is told. On memory's ramparts, their pictures are hung. But here in the limelight, as great as of old, looms up the stalwart, the only Cy Young. Where's the mighty Dalrymple? Today, Miller and Denny and Cuppy the Sly. Show me their names in the lineup, I pray. Vainly I wait for an answering cry. Few of us stand to the guns through the years. Once at a time, from the heights we are flung. Heroes soon pass in this valley of tears. But here's to the king of them all, Denton Young. End of section 51. Read by Bria Holmes, Riverview, Florida, 3/8/2023.
Section 52 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Ump's Midwinter Dream. It was a sunny day in spring. The warbling birds were all a-wing. An April sky of azure hue enchanted the fanatic's view, and sultry was the atmosphere upon the first game of the year. Upon the field his umps appeared, and lo, the throng arose and cheered, while all around with fife and drums played Hail the Conquering Hero Comes. The game began, and to the plate the first man wandered up sedate. Strike one, strike two, strike three, you're out. The umpire waited for the shout of rage from all around, but not a murmur burbled from the lot. The player bowed and walked away, without another word to say, nor paused with language somewhat free, impugning his ancestral tree. Nobody had a kick to make, however costly his mistake, and when a foul tip off the bat came hurling by and knocked him flat, in sympathy the bleachers sat with saddened hearts and tear-dimmed eyes, until once more they saw him rise. He was to player and to fan a scholar and a gentleman, while every paper in the land was boasting him to beat the band. And then in joy he gave a shout, and woke to find his pipe was out. End of section 52. Section 53 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. A real job for Teddy. Teddy, when your work is through in the presidential chair, when another takes the shift where you've learned to do and dare, you will need another job, one that's a monstrosity, that will soak up day by day all your strenuosity. It must be a husky job, full of smoke and fire to boot, and in looking round I've found only one I know will suit. Only one where your big stick will be needed day by day. Only one to fit in, Ted, with your rough and tumble way. Only one where in the end you will some day long for rest, where your energy will wane and your spirit be depressed. You will find it different from any nature-faking fuss. You will find it harder than mauling up the octopus. It will be a rougher job than a charge up San Juan Hill, or a battle with the trusts. It will take a stronger will. Fighting predatory wealth of the kings of high finance, calling railroad moguls down will not be a circumstance. All in all, 'twill suit you fine, never having been afraid of aught else upon this earth. You should be an umpire, Ted. That's the only job for you. Take our tip now, Theodore. Think of how your pulse will leap when you hear the angry roar. There your nerve can have full play. You will find the action there, which you've hunted for in vain from your presidential chair. Chasing Afric lions and such, catching grizzlies will seem tame. Lined up with a jolt, you'll get in the thick of some hard game. Choking hungry wolves to death as a sport will stack up raw. When you see Kid Elberfield swinging for your underjaw, when you hear Hugh Jennings roar, "Call 'em strikes, you lump of cheese!" or McGraw comes rushing out, kicking at your shins and knees, when the bleachers stand and shout, "Robber, liar, thief and dub," you'll be sorry for the gents in your Ananias Club. You'll find it a different thing from making peace with old Japan, that when you've called a strike on O'Connor or McCann, holding California back isn't quite the same, I'll state, as calling Devlin out on a close one at the plate. Though I've hunted far and near, there's nothing else to do, where you'll get what's coming, Ted, all that's coming unto you. You should be an umpire, Ted, and I'll bet 2 weeks would be quite enough to curb your rash, headlong strenuosity. End of section 53. Section 54 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. The Shock. If I should die tonight, and as with folded arms in death I lay, arrayed in shrouds of linen pure and white, some rooter should bend over me and say, "Oh boy, I'm sorry that you're down and out. I hope you'll get to heaven, for you're square. I've seen you umpire many a hard-fought bout, without one bum decision, I can swear." If he said that, although my soul was even then a spook, I'd rise at once in my large white cravat to get one look at him, one final look. I'd make him pass me out that dope once more, the same quaint words that he had used before. Yes, I'd rise up till he was done, and then I'd drop back dead again. End of section 54.
Section 55 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Elise D. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. When Wifey Reads Dope. Seated at the breakfast table on a sultry summer's day, Mrs. Smith picked up the paper in a careless, idle way, threw her lamps on social items, noted quickly up and down names of lucky, favored people who had blown away from town in this steamy August weather, till at last her restless glance fell upon the sporting section, and she lingered in a trance. Mr. Smith was eating bacon, which, the same as you should know, is widespread breakfast fodder anywhere you choose to go, and his jaw was working deftly like the handle of a pump, when he heard an exclamation from his wife that made him jump. "What's the matter?" he responded, with his appetite well sated. "Why those frowns upon your forehead? Why those eyeballs so dilated?" "Tell me this," she said, and shuddered. "Tell me what this means, I pray." "Nothing but the gallant playing of Mike Johnson saved the day. With the score tied in the seventh, and the combat gliding by, Mike dashed out, and by fast sprinting, swallowed Piggy Jones' long fly." "Good for Mike," her husband answered. "He's the goods. I always knew it." "Swallowed Jones' fly?" she murmured. "Tell me how the man could do it." Then she read, "With mighty bludgeons in their midst, the demon Sox hopped on Waddell in the pinches, hammered him out of the box, shot him full of poisoned arrows, drove him to the uncut woods, walloped all the wadding from him, for he didn't have the goods." "This is awful," said she, frowning. "Why should he have drawn such a beating?" But then her husband only snickered and again turned to his eating. "Look at this," she stammered, paling. "Hahn got bumped up upon the bean. Umpire Sheridan's decision threw a smell like gasoline. Jones was punctured in the lattice. Walsh's benders broke their backs, for they couldn't even hit him with a shotgun or an axe." "Baseball must be very wicked," said she with puzzled face. "Yes, it's hell," her husband answered, "when your team ain't in the race." End of section 55.
Section 56 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Caveat. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. A hard luck yarn. While reposing one day in me leisurely way, a-puffing a wicked cheroot, I happens to spy with a glance of me eye a gent in a major league suit. "I know who ye are, you're a major league star," says I, "or you once used to be." "Well, jiggy me neck, but your dope is correct," was the answer he handed to me. And he mutters, says he, "I've a story for ye, which I want ye to put in the paper for me. 'Twas quite a while back, if me dope is exact, when I was a bloomin' recruit. I had just busted in from a minor league bin, with a try at a major league suit, when the following tale, which will make you turn pale, happened one day to me in a game, and I think you'll agree when you hear it from me that I wasn't hardly to blame. 'Twas the opening fray of the season that day, and the bases was full as a goat, and the pitcher he smiled in a manner which riled as I swallowed a lump in me throat, and he winged one across with a deft easy toss, and it bubbled along at me waist, and I swung till me back gave a horrible crack, but I gave it a terrible paste. The ball riz and sailed till the people all paled, and when it turned into a vanishing speck, and me hands was swelled up like fat poisoned pup, while the bat I was used was a wreck. Clean over the ocean like lightning in motion it whizzed and whistled and whirled. Over China, Japan, it bounded and ran till it travelled the length of the world. With a most vicious swipe it dismantled the pipe in the mouth of King Edward at tea. Then it veered to the Rhine, where it busted a stein, which der Kaiser was holding, you see. And it gave quite a jar to the badly scarred Tsar when it toppled his throne to the ground. But it went on its way with the speed of H-Bay, with a hop and a skip and a bound. That night, with a sigh and a tear in his eye, the captain gave me my release. For the President wired that it had to be fired for the good of the country and peace. He hits 'em too hard and too far from the yard, was the message the President sent. He has raised complications with the neighbourly nations, and I am a peaceable gent. So they turned me adrift, and I gave up my shift, and that's why I'm out of the game. I was too blooming good, or I'm certain I would have acquired quite a notable name. End of section 56.
Section 58 of Baseball Ballads. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice. Game called. Game called. Across the field of play, the dusk has come, the hour is late. The fight is done, and, lost or won, the player files out through the gate. The tumult dies, the cheer is hushed, the stands are bare, the park is still, but through the night there shines the light of home beyond the silent hill. Game called, where in the golden light the bugle rolled the reveille, the shadows creep where night falls deep, and taps has called the end of play. The game is done, the score is in, the final cheer and jeer have passed, but in the night beyond the fight the player finds his rest at last. Game called. Upon the field of life the darkness gathers far and wide. The dream is done, the score is spun, that stands for ever in the guide. Nor victory, nor yet defeat, is chalked against the player's name, but down the roll the final scroll shows only how he played the game. End of section 58, read by Alan Mapstone. End of Baseball Ballads by Grantland Rice.